Hey guys, welcome to the Falaya Focus Podcast. Today we have a special episode with Calvin Mills here at the Tech Park, where we're going to talk about founding a company, getting started, what it takes to actually get something off the ground, what determination it takes, as well as what the Tech Park is doing here, the awesome resources that they have available in their 30-year anniversary. So I want to welcome in Calvin Mills.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you jumping on and sitting down with us. Kind of excited about this conversation about, what the Tech Park's doing and what can happen over the next 10 years in Baton Rouge and in Louisiana for technology companies. But first, man, let's start it off and kind of just tell people, who you are and kind of a little bit of background about, who you are and what you do.
Well, I guess as some people say, your day job. I'm a serial tech entrepreneur. Started my first company about 20 years ago. Actually, kind of a full circle. I came here when I graduated from college back in 2001 from Southern, and my best friend and I were looking to start my first tech company, and we came here, to get some office space, and realized we were still two broke graduates, and decided to start the company out of my two-bedroom apartment. And, fast forward, 13 years later, I was appointed to the board of directors here and then became chairman of the board. But, I've been in tech pretty much most of my life. Graduated in computer science and business from Southern. Was actually a football player, played on the Southern University team. Had a stellar career there, 5-time champion. Got 2 national championships along with 3 back-to-back conference championships and an excellent record of 25-0.
25-0.
25-0. So
perfection. I love that.
Yeah, that was my start. I thought I was going to be a professional football player.
Did you really?
Make all this money.
Okay.
Didn't really work out the way I thought it would. I learned quickly that the NFL stood for not for long. I went, had a short stint, tried out with the Buccaneers. Got sent down, played arena ball, and then after that, I was over it. And I just said, it's time to get to work. And that's when I started my first company and did that for almost 20 years now. My first company, next year I'll make 20 years.
Wow.
Started my second tech firm about 4.5, 5 years ago.
Okay.
And then had the bright idea during COVID to start another one. So I started a software company, but that's really my baby because it's the company that we're planning to IPO. That's
awesome, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot to digest, man. It's pretty impressive. I don't know if I can compete with that, but I'll try to follow you. I definitely love the path you blaze there. So I guess let's take it back, like at Southern University, which I mean is just awesome that you're in this position from Southern University. I think it's something to truly highlight. What made you want to go into computer science and business? Like, I don't know what kind of sparked you to do that, and what was the starting point to get you into technology?
The funny story behind that, I've honestly always loved gadgets. I've always loved just like electronics. And when I was about 8, maybe 10 years old, I took apart my mom's television at home, and she came in and saw all these parts on the floor and just kind of looked at me. And she said, you got a couple of hours before dinner, and this better be put back together. And I did. And it actually worked better than it originally did. And she kind of looked at me, and she just stared at me for a second. And I would just always just play with gadgets. I never was able to, my mom wasn't able to afford a laptop or a computer. So, I just used the one at school. And then when I got to college, I wanted to do computer engineering. And Southern didn't offer it, but they offer computer science. So I went into that, and I took the business option, and that's how I kind of ended up doing a double major in business because I always had a business-oriented mind.
Okay.
In fact, my uncle, when I lived with them in Tampa, he was a doctor. He actually delivered Tony Dungy's kids. He was an OBGYN doctor.
Okay.
We had a conversation the night before I was set to go to their training camp for my tryouts. And my uncle said, I just want to be honest with you. He said, I don't think you need football to be successful. He said, I don't think this is your path. He said, you're always thinking outside of where you're at. And he said, I think you're going to be fine just without football. And I'm looking at him like, you do realize camp starts tomorrow, right?
It's my dream.
And he's like, I know, but I just had to just tell you that. And, He was right. I gave him my all, and I had one great conversation with Tony Dungy. He knew about me through my uncle, and he told me, he said, you have a step ahead of a lot of players. He said, you make sure that you go back and finish school, because I left early with about 7 hours left, but I really wanted to pursue it and see if that was the path.
Sure, you got to try it, right? Yeah. I think for me, it's about the journey and what it takes to get to that point, because to get to the NFL like that and to get onto that level, even to be invited to a training camp, you have to put certain actions in place, rituals, habits. You got to be in shape. You got to be regimented on what you discipline, right? Yep, and so those habits, they create a situation at which you can bring those into other things as business, as a founder,
and that's what
as
I did.
CEO.
I tell my coaches, I see them all the time, and especially Coach Dooley, who's now the head coach, was actually my position coach his first year in college football coaching. He always said trust the process, but I took all of the things that I learned in football and I literally just put them into business and just made that my ultimate goal. And I set a goal to be where I'm at a long time ago. I quit my job literally 2 months before Hurricane Katrina happened in 2005, and I never forget the day, because I sat in the parking lot and I just said, God, I'm not looking for another job. I'm all in. This is what I want to do. And I said what I wanted, and I just got up every day to, do what it took to get here. And it hasn't been an easy road, but I love it.
Yeah, Katrina was a crazy time. I mean,
yes.
I was, obviously I'm old enough to do that. And I remember I was working at iMasters at the time. I was a lab manager at iMasters, and I was making the glasses, and cutting them, shaping them, sanding them down, putting the prescription in them, all that, like 1 hour glassing. And I had several people working for me. But man, when Katrina hit, the people swarmed. I mean, Bluebonnet was like, It literally took me like 3 or 4 hours just to get to work. I could have walked from my apartment at the time more than, it was just a crazy time for business and people flowing in and all kind of stuff. Yeah. So it was definitely an interesting time for everybody. So it's, interesting that you made that move. What I'm trying to tell people on this podcast is you didn't make that decision in a vacuum.
Yeah.
You made that decision in an environment that was pretty action-packed and a lot going on, right?
Yeah.
For your family too, right? Because I remember
my mom lost her house because I'm originally from New Orleans.
Yeah.
And my mom, she had lost her house. And at the time, I literally had probably 12 people in a 2-bedroom apartment on Essence. And, I had literally just got my first opportunity with FEMA. And it was only a $2,500 contract. But to me, it was a foot in the door. And it allowed me to really see the opportunity. And, I tell people all the time, and I talk about it when I speak, my life changed with 2 words: thank you. I got up after completing the contract the next day. I got dressed, and I literally said, I'm going to go and introduce myself to the contracting officer and just say thank you and just let them put a face with the name. And literally the day that I did that, I ended up in 2 months with over $350,000 in contracts.
It's unbelievable.
And my whole life from there just kind of changed, and things just.
It's amazing how a small decision like that can ultimately change your whole life, right? And people don't realize how those decisions can just ripple across all of that, right? And getting your foot in the door. I mean, that's how I feel with Falaya, right? Is that we're opening the door, we're putting our foot in the door, and I can tell you what, if they open the door, I'm coming in, right?
Yeah.
So, and I feel exactly where you're at. Like I could feel that, right? It's like my foot's starting to get in the door. It's not all the way open, but as soon as that opens, I'm coming in and I'm not stopping, right? And that's kind of what you have to have as an entrepreneur and a founder.
Absolutely.
And you've got to have that grit, because it doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't.
It does not happen overnight. And that's one thing, your story is over 20 years in the making, right? And it's still not finished.
Yeah.
So to think that, the story is going to end in 5 years is very unrealistic. You know?
I'm just getting started, man. You know, I'm just amazed every day of where I'm at and the things that I've accomplished. You know, I look at just driving up to Nexus Louisiana Technology Park every day. You know, it's a joy for me because I'm like, man, this is literally full circle for me.
Right.
You know, to walk in here as a aspiring entrepreneur trying to start a tech company, 20 something years ago, to now literally being the CEO and president of the organization, even if it is on an interim basis, it still amazes me that I'm in this position.
For sure,
man. So I don't take it for granted.
No, you can't. I mean, it's pretty impressive to come from, starting all the way to that, and what you have to learn along the way to actually accomplish that goal is impressive, right? Numerous companies, multiple companies, different partnerships, people, how to interact and train people. I mean, you can't just walk into something like that, and you got to learn and grow every day. It's very impressive. I've been extremely impressed with what you've done in your short tenure. I mean, I think I met you this summer briefly at that event that we had and shook your hand. But then what I've seen accomplished after that has just been nothing but stellar. I've been overly impressed with your team and what they've accomplished in the short term, and have nothing but hope for the future and what the tech park is doing. Which kind of leads me to like the tech park is having a 30-year anniversary.
Yes.
So kind of the tech park as well is having that same circle. They started with an idea, so how did the tech park kind of, you kind of know the story a little bit more than me. Do you know a little bit of the background of how it's evolved and what its focus is? And
yeah, we came to this location where we're at now, actually back in 2001.
Okay.
Which was right after I graduated.
Okay.
And to even see where it's at now from back then, has been amazing. And I've been around here for roughly about 10 years now, because I served on the board as a board member for 8 years as the mayor's designee as her appointment, and then served 3 years as the chairman. And I've watched a lot of the growth, and I've had the opportunity to give counsel, in the past on different things that we should do in the way that it should go, because I'm speaking from the eyes of an entrepreneur.
Sure.
I'm seeing what's missing or what is needed, and have been able to do that. And now that, I've been put in a position that I'm in as the interim, of the organization, I've been able to act on those things. And that's been the most important thing, is that, you talk about a 30-year anniversary of creating companies and coaching and building and helping companies scale, and all of the success stories that have come out of this building in this organization have been amazing. And I'm looking at it and saying, we still have more to do.
Oh, for sure.
Because now when you look at entrepreneurship on a grand scale, it's at the forefront now. We have, degrees you can get in entrepreneurship, master's degrees you can get in, elementary schools and high schools are now having to focus on entrepreneurship. So at the end of the day, they understand the importance and see the significance of people going that route. So for us here at Nexus and the tech park, it's our job to prepare people. And one of the things that, I'm looking forward to is some of the new programs that we're bringing on. Even when you talk about our youth, I think it's important that we start earlier, because we have some amazing youth in our area, in the capital region, in our state, that really come up with some great ideas. I had the privilege of sitting on the Young Entrepreneurs Academies for their pitch competition, and I'm seeing high school and middle kids with some great ideas. I'm like, wow, you know what? I think I want to invest and try to help. Right. And now that I have the opportunity to give those resources even to our younger entrepreneurs, I think it's important, and I think it's more beneficial, and people can really now truly see the value, because that's been my whole thing. Even when I was a board member, was expressing to people, listen, they need to know what we do. Sure. We have so many great resources. I've used them as a client, when I was growing my companies. Right. I actually went through the programs, and I was like, wow. I said, it's one thing for people to come to a board meeting and express to us how great our services are and the things that we do. But it's another thing when you actually experience it yourself and you're like, oh my God, we have some valuable resources. Nobody even knows that they even exist. And, our marketing team and our communications team have done a fantastic job of telling a story. Our team as a whole has done a good job of really focusing on what is needed most in the existing programs that we have, making them even better and stronger. And, I'm just bringing that new energy, the energy that really helps us to navigate those things and really push them forward and even open up the minds of my entire team, because now I'm hearing the ideas that they have. I'm hearing the things that they're thinking about. I'm like, this is what we need, because we have talented people on our staff. And now that talent is really starting to show. And I'm just excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, you need that energy, right? Especially in the startup community, right? Like the energy of Jacob filming this right now, or the energy of me, right? Like that energy that you get from the companies or from the staff or from everybody everybody needs to feed off that, because that's what keeps a startup going forward.
Absolutely.
And that's what creates buzz and people talking about it and creating more resources towards it, right? And I think the Young Entrepreneurs Program, I had the privilege of speaking to a group of them as well when the first night, and it was really a great experience. I think that program is definitely top notch, and continue to do that and pour resources into that. I don't think anyone's going to fault you for that. And I think it's even more important because youth now have more choices, right? They do. They can create and they can build businesses and scale a lot differently than even you and me could in the early 2000s, right? So servers are now web-based. You know what I mean? Like it's so much easier to do,
a lot cheaper
and a lot easier to do, and they can test and they can try and they can do things on their own, and they can even work in the gig economy and create a small startup company for themselves. That's a lifestyle business. It's not necessarily a disruptor, but it could create a lot of income for them, right? And they don't have a boss, they're their own boss, right? So there's so many opportunities for the youth, and they need to understand that. But it also starts with some of those tools that you talked about, and doing that and educating them. And I think the programs of the young entrepreneurs, and also Ignition, I think was a top notch.
Yes.
I think Ignition is exactly what this community needed to start feeding into the next level in the top tier, and start to get a pipeline of businesses flowing into the tech park and flowing out and creating value. And one last thing before I'll let you talk about Ignition is the exit that we just had with with Mastery Prep. I mean, so we're having successes that are huge, right? An exit. We don't get and we're not having in Baton Rouge. We need to highlight those, and so we've had a lot of great things happen in the last 6 months, and
that's one of the things too. Like you said, I want people to know the success stories that we have here. Mastery Prep by itself, amazing. That was a great exit. King Crow, they're an award-winning company. We have other companies with Cody and his company having virtual reality. They created something so dynamic that wasn't even thought of to do training.
Right.
That came from right here at Nexus Louisiana Technology Park, which is amazing. So we're trying to do a better job of making sure that people know what we have to offer in those programs like Ignition. Ignition 1.0 and 2.0 have been great accelerator programs because it really allows companies and entrepreneurs to really focus on their customer discovery. When you go through 1.0, you're really getting focused on exactly who is my customer base and how do I attack that, and then it gets more refined when you get into 2.0 and really gives you those tools. And we've gotten so much great feedback from people, saying, man, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't even think this way about my company and the things that we can scale and the people that we can reach. And now we can. So, when we looked at that, I said, you know what, we need to add to it and look at even a bigger accelerator program. One thing about me and, the team has gotten used to now is that I think big, but I move fast.
That's what I like about you. I'm going to be honest.
I just, if I say we should do it.
That's because you're a founder.
I will find, exactly. I find the resources, and I think like an entrepreneur. That's
right.
that's what we do as founders and as entrepreneurs is we're always thinking, we're always innovating within our own mind to evaluate where we're at and how can we make it better or what we can do next. So I'm just taking how I think or other founders and entrepreneurs think, and I'm bringing that to the organization from the standpoint of being able to act on it. And the team has just bought into it, they've fed on it, and they see the difference. We have great programs that we're bringing on in the, next year moving forward, and I'm just excited about it. We're looking at some federal programs that'll start to reach out to our minority entrepreneurs, because that's really an untapped market of resources that haven't been able to get those things. And now, especially me as a minority, I understand the problems that exist, from resources and coaching or even just understanding how to build your business.
Right.
A lot of times if you're not in the right circles or have the right information, you don't know.
Or
so then you just sit,
too,
right? Or even the confidence. You sit on the side and just don't do it. But, we're going to make that to where it's understood that, look, we're here to help. We want all entrepreneurs to come to us and say, I need the help, and let us direct you where you need to go, whether you're a tech company or you're an entrepreneur that's just trying to understand, how do I build this company and be successful? Because you're right, like you said, you can build a great lifestyle career company. It doesn't have to always be disruptive, but it can be disruptive for you.
It can be disruptive for your whole family,
exactly.
Right? It doesn't necessarily have to disrupt the whole market and the whole country and write Forbes articles about you, but it could disrupt a large sector of Louisiana.
Exactly. You're right.
And create a lot of wealth for you and your family. And I think those wins are even more important because we can have a lot of those.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean? We could have a lot of those. And those people can then ripple effect like you're talking about. And it's building community connections and confidence. It's like you need all those things to really build on that, right? And I do think thinking outside of the box is the way to go with these programs and with, how do you think bigger and how do you do things? I mean, drawing attention to something is extremely important. And I love what I emailed John Atkinson yesterday of the Idea Village in NOE, right? New Orleans Entrepreneur Week. And they launched their website and their stuff for NOE this year. And they highlighted a lot of festival stuff and extra stuff on top of just the speaking stuff like this, right? So drawing people in of more of that South by Southwest and trying to get people to come in, not just for the talks, but what else can we provide value that people are going to want to come do? Whether that's food, whether that's culture, whether that's something like that, I think is really the impetus of why South by Southwest was so successful.
Exactly.
And one of the reasons why I brought that up at the founder meeting last year in New Orleans, and I'm so happy that they're doing that. And I think Baton Rouge needs to embrace some of that.
Well, I'm glad that was a great segue to me saying this. Brew is going to be completely different than what it's been in the past. Every time I went to Brew, it was nice, but it seemed like it was only to one market or one audience, right? It wasn't, to me, a true entrepreneur week of resources and opportunity. So, one of the first things I said, we're doing Brew completely different. It's going to be a true week of resources and opportunities for people to come out of all types of entrepreneurs. Not just tech, but all entrepreneurs. I have the opportunity to come, listen to different panels, see those resources, and really get a feel. And on top of that, we're going to have a youth component on that Saturday for our youngest entrepreneurs, even the lemonade stands. Because the earlier you start, the better it'll become, because you'll give those kids something to really look at and something that they can hold on to. And, it's just the way that I think. And now we're able to bring that and literally build it out. So we're going to have a full week. It's going to be exciting. Our team, our marketing and communications team, they've already been planning and just looking at it and getting excited about the entire difference it's going to look like versus what it has been in the past. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
So we actually have taken that sort of South by Southwest, feel and added our own little twist to it.
Yeah. I mean, it's something you got to build on, right? Yeah. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not like even New Orleans with their resources are going to be able to do that right now, but you got to start that process and thinking outside of the box and see what works and doesn't work. They've actually, they're doing a paid component to where they can drive revenue to make sense, maybe on a higher scale to get more talent in. So, I mean, it's interesting, but it's funny that you brought up the lemonade because we were at Brew this year. We had a table over there, and we were pitching for the $100,000, right? And unfortunately didn't win, but it was a great experience. But when we did that tech, walk through where all the tables are, I went and poured some stuff into them, man. I zeroed in on them. And I went on their table and started talking to them. And they were like, it all about me because I'm pitching for the $100,000. I somehow must have made it, which isn't true at all. But they felt that way, and I'm like, you got it. I love this idea, and kind of poured into them how to go after it and grind and get it in the stores. And man, they're having so much success. Yeah. I mean, it was unbelievable to see the success they had over the last 12 months. Yep. So even from being introduced to the circles of the people that were in that hallway and their success over the last 12 months, I guarantee you that could be attributed to coming to Brew. Oh, yeah. There's Absolutely. No doubt that them setting up a table for free at Brew had an effect on their business for the next 12 months. It straight up did, And so that was a cool win to see even at that scale, right? So it definitely is a huge impact. So definitely check it out. Brew is a cool resource for the tech park. So I guess what do you see next? So it's 30 years we've been at the tech park. What does the next 10 years look like for the tech park? What do you think are some of the not just programs, but overall or arching things that the tech park can accomplish to push tech forward, or innovation and entrepreneur forward. Right?
When I think about the next 10 years, I really see a lot of growth and innovation coming through. I think, with us being able to bring even more resources and opportunities to the table are going to help. We already have great established programs, but really being able to adapt, to the way things are moving and how things are now, to bring a different way of doing some of the things that we're doing as far as the programs, right? Right. Like I said, even adding bigger and better accelerated programs, adding to what we already have with Ignition 1.0 and 2.0, and even adding those new programs. I just really see a lot of energy, a lot of excitement. I think with us, having our youth component on there, I think that by itself really will, allow us to see a different way of how things have been done in the past. Sure. Because like you said earlier, our youngest entrepreneurs are coming into an era where the resources for them are way better and a lot cheaper than they were for us. Plus, there's more resources that help them to think and help them to create even bigger and better ideas. So I just really see a lot of energy, a lot of innovation, and excitement over 10 years that'll allow us to continue to grow and really see bigger success stories. Having more companies with success stories that are getting great exits or investments like we had with Mastery Prep and other companies, and really just building on what we've done for 30 years, but making it even bigger and better, and allowing Nexus Louisiana Technology Park to truly be the leader in entrepreneurship for the state of Louisiana. Right. That's what I really would like to see moving forward, is that not only are we here in the capital region, but we are the entrepreneur face of Louisiana when it comes to people coming into the state and I think and looking for those opportunities.
I agree with you. I think that's exactly right. And I think, starting with the youth is exactly your point, right? Because it feeds in, right? And we need to build that base. I think also LSU and linking up with Southern and making sure that our entrepreneurs know that Tech Park exists, that Nexus exists, and that the resources exist, because those are the entrepreneurs that may start next month, and I really think we need to tap into that. And it's hard because there's so many moving parts and so much noise that goes on at LSU, and so much noise that there's so many people and companies coming after.
And the good part is, when we created the BizTech Challenge for our HBCUs, throughout the state, that program really opened the eyes of a lot of students and even some of the companies that are partnered with us, because they're really seeing the talent that exists with our HBCU students. You know, we do a great job in this state of showcasing LSU, but a lot of times, even from an HBCU perspective, they kind of got lost. But now, you know, even this year at the BizTech, we had a surprise guest. The president of Grambling actually came to the BizTech Challenge and surprised us, which to us was like, oh my God, okay, like he's here. And, you know, he's really been involved with those students. And I have to say, man, you know, this year the talent was so amazing. We literally spent 20 minutes debating on the third place winner.
Really?
That's how good it was this year.
Wow.
And a young lady by herself from Dillon University actually won.
I did read about that.
And that was amazing. But even with like at LSU, we have with the VCAP program, you know, with that program, that's really been a good success for us. And that allows us to open up. And we're actually bringing that over to Southern as well. So we're really trying to do a job of getting with our college students, because even though they're in college, they can still be entrepreneurs.
For sure.
There are a lot of students that, you know, they get the degree. I mean, look at me. You know, I went to school for computer science and business at one point, thinking that I may work in corporate and work for an organization. But, you know, honestly, you know, the way I'm built, I was like, no, I want to work for myself.
Wow.
You know, and there are the students like that. So the more we can feed into them and show them their options, like you said earlier, you know, when we talk about even our youngest, giving them those options, I think that really helps to build on the entrepreneurship here in the state. Plus, when you think about an economic development and workforce component, that even goes into that, because the more companies that we can grow and build, that means the more jobs that we can create for people here in our area and in the state. And I think, you know, we have a duty to help build these type of companies that can do that.
No doubt. And I think there are a lot of great things. The VCAP program, we went through that. We helped out with that last semester. It was great. The guys were super talented in the finance class and helping us with, you know, the Excel spreadsheet and some of the pro formas. And it was just a really great program for them. They're still connected and follow us on LinkedIn, and we're still, you know, connected with them. So it is making a ripple effect, and there is a lot going on. I think that VCAP program was really something special. But the Biz Challenge, that's unbelievable, in connecting with those. We've had obviously Resilia and her raise.
Shout out to Savitri.
I mean, she is just a
Savitri's
force.
a good friend of mine. She's actually one of my advisors on my company, Help IT.
Okay.
You know, Savitri and I, we've known each other for a long time. I followed her when she was in college and when she started doing things.
Right.
And people would always try to, you know, tell both of us we need to meet each other. And finally, we were in a room one day and was like, everybody keeps telling me I need to talk to you. And I'm like, same here. And, you know, she's just been awesome. You know, I call her when I need advice, and, you know, she's been very helpful as I continue to raise money for my company as well.
Right.
So she's created the path. I'm walking the path behind her, and she's pretty much giving me the playbook.
Right.
And, you know, when I told her I was ready to take this step to do that, she was like, call me when you need me.
Right.
Here's what you need to think about first. And it's been great, you know, and having people like her as an example from raising money like that only helps everything else that we're doing.
Sure.
Because we have Innovation Catalyst, which is our our investment arm that does a lot of investment in companies that we have coming through the tech park. So, you know, it helps us to understand, and it helps me because now I can speak more to it because I'm actually going through it myself.
Right.
So, you know, I try to take everything that I do and put it into my role here at the organization and just try to be the best resource that I can to all entrepreneurs that come through our doors.
Yeah, and that's what they need, right? I mean, it's hard you don't want to go it alone as a founder, right? And you need to learn from people that came before you because they probably made mistakes or they're learning or they've had successes and they know how to get there, right? And so you definitely need to, lean on other people, and that's what Nexus can be for a lot of folks. And then peers as well, is extremely important. Yeah. So I guess let me ask you a question. I mean, I kind of want people to also take away a little bit of knowledge from you and your experience and your connections. What are 3 things you think an entrepreneur should know before they even get started?
one, you got to know if you love it, because if you don't love it, then it's not going to work for you. You know, you definitely have to understand that this is definitely not a sprint. It's
Right.
a true marathon, and it's going to be a long marathon. You know, things don't happen overnight. And really just be honest with yourself. You know, you have to be open to criticism. You have to be open to the realness of everything, because at the end of the day, you're stepping out and you are the person that is in charge of your future. And if you're not ready to take that dive, then you have to look in the mirror and really be truthful with yourself. You know, I mean, I had everything after Hurricane Katrina. I was winning awards and, making a lot of money. And then the recession hit and federal government stopped spending money because all I was doing was federal contracts. And next thing you know, I went through a bad divorce and ended up sleeping on the air mattress.
Right.
But to me, that was the best thing ever happened to me in my life, because it allowed me to really get refocused and really take a look at some of the things that I didn't do. And part of that was I didn't really pay attention to money. I tell people all the time, I'm a young man from, New Orleans, Louisiana, from the 3rd Ward, and single mom. My dad died when I was 3 years old. I didn't have money. So when I started making money, the first time around, I didn't really know how to handle it, to be honest with you. So, if I wanted it, I bought it. So I blew a lot of money.
Sure.
And when the recession hit, I wasn't prepared for it. And, I learned that lesson. And, going through that, through everything I went through and sleeping on that air mattress, it opened my eyes and it helped me. So they really got to understand the discipline. They got to have the patience, but definitely the focus, because if you don't do those 3 things, then you're not gonna be successful, at all.
I would agree. It's definitely a marathon. And I trained for marathons, by the way, too. And maybe that's
so
the reason.
right?
I mean, yeah, I know. I just ran the New York City Marathon. Yeah, I literally did a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, credit to me. Just gonna toot my horn there. But anyway, you really do have to be staying power. It's not a sprint. I think I've had people even help me with Falaya, and they never really got that, right? Mm-hmm. They thought, we were going to get rich tomorrow. And I'm like, this is going to be like a 10-year,
right,
20, 15-year deal. If we get lucky, I mean, look at Lucid. Lucid is over a 10-year deal.
Yep.
Level Set, 15-year deal, 16-year deal from Scott starting it and Scott exiting it. You know what I mean? So, like, to think that you're going to, he's like, how long has he been doing? He's been doing it a hot minute, over 10 years plus. Mm-hmm. So to think like you're just going to start a company and all of a sudden you're going to be on magazines and make all this money and you're going to be successful is just not the reality of it, right?
It does not happen that way.
It isn't. And you have to have patience. I completely agree with you on that. And patience, persistence. And then you've also got to listen to your customer, right? I think as a founder, you've got to we talk to our customers all the time. What do you like? What do you don't like? Be honest with me. Give me feedback. And that way you can learn and grow. And you've got to be able to have enough focus and determination to go after your goal, but also enough flexibility to listen to other people and to change a little bit, right? Yep. And I think those are the keys to an actual true successful entrepreneur.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, man. And I tell people all the time, like, look at my journey. This has been hard. It has been hard, but now I'm at the point where, I have my 3rd tech company that I'm planning to IPO. It's still crazy when I think about that decision and what we're trying to do. And it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey, but I've spent 20 years to get to this point. It just hasn't happened overnight. Even when I quit my job back in 2005 to start my first company, right before Hurricane Katrina, I had been building up customers for almost 3 years before that. And finally it was just like, I'm gonna have to go all in and just be faithful. But I also knew that now I control my own income, my own paycheck, which means if I don't work, I'm not gonna eat. And I don't think everybody's built for it.
It's scary.
You have to be built for it, because at the end of the day, you're not gonna all of a sudden get $100,000, $100 million deal tomorrow. You know, it may take you 10, 12 years just to get to $5 or $10 million, you know, let alone, you know, more than that. But if you just have the patience and really understand what you're trying to do and listen, then you'll be successful. You know, like you said earlier, you have to be able to listen to customers. You have to be able to listen to advisors, people who are really trying to help you, because if you don't, you'll be back in corporate working and never get off the ground.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, it's funny that you talk about the corporate thing, because I used to, you know, out of school, I went to work for Stanley Black & Decker DeWalt, right? And became the, you know, market manager over Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi. They were giving me sales awards, sales and excellence awards. I was winning all this stuff. They wanted me to move up, and they actually wanted me to move to Baltimore, and were giving me all kind of options. And I love DeWalt, Stanley Black & Decker. I mean, they're a great company. They treat their people right. They got a good product. There's nothing wrong with Stanley Black & Decker. But I couldn't, you know, I'm doing all this work and grinding, man. I was doing sales calls. I was going after, you know, I was up at 6, going to bed at 9, answering all this stuff, grinding. And quite honestly, for somebody else, you know, and also if the stock price goes down, then they fire a certain amount of people and let go. You know, it's like you're not in control of your own situation, and I just couldn't see myself living my whole life that way. It was a good experience, but I had to get away from that corporate life, and that's when, you know, I grinded. I took my MBA classes at night and on the weekends while I was traveling for that job around and doing the sales calls. So in the hotel rooms, I'd finish doing my sales calls, and around 6 o'clock, I'd jump on, I'd get my MBA at night. And that's how I grinded. And then when I exited that, I went into real estate full time like you did. I dipped my toes in it a little bit while I was working at DeWalt, and then went all in on real estate. And,
honestly, and mine was the same way. I just wasn't happy. You know, I was working at Best Buy. I was the top salesman, you know, in the store. And every time our department would blow out numbers, you know, supervisor was getting bonuses. And I'm like, you know, you going to break me off something? He's like, well, I'll take you to lunch. I don't want lunch. You know, I want some of that bonus. And, you know, I wanted to become a manager, and then they wouldn't make me. So then I was working at CompUSA. They actually came in and offered me the sales manager position in front of my other managers. And I quit that day and went over there and just kept trying to move forward, because at one point I was like, well, you know, maybe I'll become a store manager or something, you know, working in corporate, because I love sales, right? I just like talking to people. And I like being around people. And, you know, I got to a point where I started helping people with their equipment, with their computers and stuff. And I said, man, you know what? This is what I want to do. And, you know, I originally got into, with my first company, helping low-income families get computers, getting access to technology. And I saw the difference that I was making, and I just kind of, you know, built on that, and really got tossed into federal contracting by a whim.
Right.
You know, Hurricane Katrina happened, and I was like, oh, crap. You know, I had literally just quit my job. But even when I quit, I was happy, because now I was in control of everything. You know, my promotion, my salary, how much I made, whatever. You know, if I wanted to work 80 hours a week, I worked 80 hours a week. If I wanted to work 20, I worked 20. But at the end of the day, I controlled it all, instead of someone just saying, you know, great job, and they go off to a trip or something, and I'm still making $12 an hour, you know.
Right.
So I just had to get to a point where, you know, it really was right, but the passion was always inside me. So I just started listening to it, and then finally just decided to just jump ship and jump out and step on faith and keep it moving.
Yeah. I mean, it's a scary step, right?
Oh, yeah.
I remember
It really
having
is.
the call, and they were trying to save me from quitting, you know, and they were like, you're
Same thing.
you're awesome, man. You would do great. You can do
They came to my house.
Well, believe it or not, it was just my direct manager said that to me, right, at the time, and he was trying to save me, of course, because he knows I was killing it for him, right? And then the guy above him, the national manager, was like didn't even say anything. He was like, nah, this dude's going. He was like, I already know this guy's got the drive and the fire in his eye. He knows. He was like, he didn't even hesitate, he didn't even try. He said, you're going to be successful whatever you do, Barrett. I have no doubt. You know, the door's always open if you want to come back.
Yeah.
But I still give him. I actually sent king cakes to DeWalt for 2 or 3 years. I sent it to the CEOs, the COs. I interviewed them during my MBA program for my papers and stuff to kind of, you know, that was they were helping me with my MBA program, but also you're going to know who I am, right? And then I continued to send them king cakes afterwards. It was kind of a cool way. And I sent those to my managers at DeWalt. So the way you exit also, exit a process. Like I have to tell you, people talk. Right. And they know what you're doing and what kind of man you are and what kind of person you are, and how you exit a company is just as important as how you enter and how you do. So you have to represent yourself all the way through. And that's what I did there. And it was good feelings. But at the same point, I had to go after what I wanted. You know, at the end of the day, I didn't want to, be in a situation of regret, right? And I think that's sometimes that's what a lot of entrepreneurs say is they wanted to go after it and they just saw it and they had to do it, you know, for themselves. So anyway, but you know, you've had this awesome career to this far. There's still a lot to be done. Obviously, you're not stopping today. But I saw that you got this award yesterday from the president, a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah.
What was that all about? Congratulations.
No, thank you. Yeah, I'm still trying to process everything. I knew that someone had nominated me for it, but I'm gonna be honest. I was like, okay, this is the president of the United States. I'm probably not gonna get this. I'm thinking I'm 45 years old. I know I've done some things, but President of the United States Lifetime Achievement Award, right? So, for me, hearing that, I was just excited just to be nominated. But when I got the call, honestly, man, I didn't even know how to react. I honestly, part of me I really just started crying because, I'm just like, holy crap, this is real,
That's all that work.
And then, I thought about my mom. I lost my mom last year, and I was like, man, I wish I could be calling her right now saying, Mom. And it's crazy because, last year, right after we buried her, the week after that was the Bayou Classic, and I that's when we made the announcement for Help IT for our crowdfunding raise, right? And we did a video, and in the video I said, my mom saw the vision before I ever knew what it was. And it's crazy because I think about conversations we would have, and even my previous marriage, my mom had a speech at the reception, and she literally said to her, this boy is going to go to the White House one day. I know it. Stick with him. And I was like, all right, take the mic, take the mic forward. But she always saw these things. And before she passed, we had a chance to really, conversate. And I told her, I said, Mom, you literally, I said, I'm on my way up here today. I was just thinking about everything. You saw all of this, right? And this was last year. I'm just thinking about stuff that I had already done. And she's like, I knew what I was doing. She said, I knew who I was raising and what I was raising you for. And she said, you're going to be fine. And literally, before my mom passed, the last words I ever heard from her, and I'm grateful to God that it was these words, was that she told me that she loved me and that she was very proud of me. And that was the last time my mom would ever speak, because that couple of days after that, she went on the ventilator, and then, she passed, and it was rough. It's still tough for me, but, when I hung that phone up, I literally sat there and was like, how? I'm thinking about myself as a 45-year-old man from New Orleans, Louisiana, who grew up poor, to literally having, my name being introduced to the President of the United States for an award. And it took my cousin the other day, my mom's niece, to break it down to me. She's like, holy crap. She said, your name literally probably was in some leather folder that they take out and start running names and start researching these people to the president. And I was like, I didn't think about it like that. I'm like, holy crap. And I just started crying because like I'm a very humble person. And, you know, I daily I ask God for humility because I look at my life and I realize the position that I'm in, you know, just who I am and the things that I'm able to do. And I'm just thankful for it. Like I said, every day I ride up here to the office, I look at the sign and I'm like, I literally walked in here almost 20 something years ago trying to start a business as an entrepreneur, broke as a college graduate. And now I'm literally the head of the organization. Not a board member, but the head of the organization. Like, it blows my mind every time. And I always think about the story about a janitor who became the CEO of a company.
For sure.
You know, and I look at myself like that, you know.
I do too.
And it just, I'm grateful. You know, I'm honored by it. I probably haven't really even processed it yet. You know, I've gotten a lot of calls, a lot of text messages and congratulatory messages, and I'm still just trying to figure out if I'm dreaming. I'm constantly talking to my mom, like, is this real? Yeah. You know, like, because it's amazing. You know, it's the president of the United States, you know, recognizing and honoring you for the work, your life achievements, the work that you've done in the community. And it's a lot of stuff that I've never posted. I don't really talk about.
Sure.
Apparently people have noticed it or have said something, but my team would tell you, I just do me. I just get up and just put my energy into what I love. Yeah. And this is what I love, is helping people, inspiring people, motivating people, and really just making a difference. And that's what I try to do on a daily basis. And apparently I'm being recognized for it. And it's just the group of people who I'm being recognized with is really, I've looked at them. They're people who I've always wanted to meet. And I'm seeing them like, holy crap. And one of them is actually Deion Sanders.
Oh, really?
Which was funny because I was like, man, I hope we beat them in the championship game. Because I was joking with Natisha. I said, I would love to walk up to him and say, hey, I'm Calvin Mills. I'm a former player from Syracuse University. I am Swag. I said, you know, I really wanted to tell him that. And I still can because, you know, I went 25-0 and I got, you know, 5 championships under my belt.
I think that's pretty.
You know, but just him and Eric Holder, who's, you know, our first African-American Attorney General of the country, the CEO of BET, the CEO of Radio One, and a slew of other people. I'm just like, holy crap, you know, I'm associated with these people and the President of the United States, and that's just, it's overwhelming in a good way. And even outside of that, tomorrow I'm being recognized by the National Urban League with an award for my work, and I've kind of just literally forgot about it because when this happened, I've just been trying to figure it out.
Right. It's interesting that God put us in this conversation because I lost my mom about a year ago, literally in December. And that's the reason why I ran the New York City Marathon was in her honor. And I raised money for breast cancer awareness. And, you know, that was basically dedicated to her, that run. And so, and I remember my last conversation with her as well, where she was lucid. And it was, you know, it's tough, you know, because you want to tell them, you know, like we created this podcast room that we're sitting in like 2 weeks after her death.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I put all these lights in here and created everything. And what we've done in the last year has just been phenomenal with over 200 listens and saving homeowners, you know, $1.5 million, you know, plus. And it's just, you know, she was already proud of me as well, you know, and she kind of knew it, but I would have loved for her to see what's going to happen in the next 5 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough.
It really is.
It's hard when you lose your mom too, because, you know, your mom is the person that's going to love you no matter what. Right?
It's the biggest cheerleader.
It's the biggest cheerleader. I mean, you know, if I mess up here, she's still gonna love me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how my
you know
my
what I
mom-
mean. She might give me a stern talking to.
Right.
Trust me, she might give me some real talk. You know, but she's gonna like love me no matter what. And it's weird when you have that person. And my wife is amazing, and my family, and I have a lot of great support. But it's hard to replace that one person.
No, it is, and my mom was never a person that would say a lot, I love you, I'm proud of you, but I knew she was, because when I would go home, every article from football or anything I've done was laminated and put on the wall as you go up the stairs, right? But when she told me that those last words that day, it shook me so hard because I never really heard it from her. And in that moment, I was just telling her that I love her and I needed her to keep fighting, because I had been there for 2 hours and she didn't say a word. And I was trying to show her videos of the girls, my daughters, just so she can laugh, right? And the nurses were coming in just to come and bring her a treatment, and they set her up. And I just put I kissed her on her forehead, and I put my head on her head, and I looked at her in the eyes and said, Ma, I love you. I need you to keep fighting. And I was getting ready to turn and walk out. And as I set up, I could see her like fighting to build up. And she literally was just like, I love you too, son, and I'm proud of you. And I lost it. I walked out the room and probably sat in my car for 45 minutes crying, because to hear it and not know that was the last words, but just to hear it in that moment, I was just like, that validated everything for me, that, what I had been doing, she was proud of. And that's why now I go even harder.
Yeah,
because
it's like she's looking down now, so now she can see everything. She could only see like stuff on Earth. Now she can see it all, man.
And I tell her, man, I'm like,
no, man, now she's even more.
Tell her when,
you know what I mean?
When I got off that phone, I said, Ma, you are really working these rooms, man. I was like, wow. I said, and I called my aunt, my great aunt in California. She's 97. And, one of the first things she said was, she's like, your mom would be so proud right now, but I know she's proud, and I know she already knew what was coming. And, she did her job, and I'm proud of you for where you're at. And I couldn't even talk.
Yeah.
I was just like, man, is this how it's going to be all day? As I talk to family members. But, they all knew how much my mom loved me. And, I'm just trying to do what I was raised and built and taught to do.
Sure.
And even here, at Nexus, just be the leader that I've always asked God to be.
Sure. That
I've asked him to allow me to be, and be the person that I want to be when it comes to inspiring and motivating even my team. And I mean, without me even saying it, you said it, the energy and just the movement and how things have gone over these last 6 months, which I still can't believe it's literally been 6 months.
I know, right?
We've just been nonstop. I have just hit the ground running and just like, look, let me work. Let me do what I do best. And I come back and say, all right, I got something else. And the Tish and the team's like, okay, just pile it on us. We'll go get it done, And I'm like, I'm sorry, if we need to bring more people on, let me know. But everybody's excited, and even around town, people are starting to hear more about Nexus and see more about Nexus. And it's just like, okay, we see what you got going on, and it's perfect. I mean, what's more fitting than the 30th anniversary of the organization, and for me to be the person now leading us into a new 30 years.
Yeah, as someone that started in it and it fostered you and you grew into it, and then now you're running it. It's full circle, and it's completely what the tech park needs at this point, in my opinion. Yeah. Like I said at the beginning of this conversation, I wasn't, when I met you, I didn't know you, and I, was just waiting to see what was going to happen. And I've been thoroughly impressed, to the point where, very impressed. And I don't know how to put that in words, but the stuff that you've been doing, and I've seen the push, and I just hope it continues, and that, that Falaya can play a part in that.
No, absolutely.
And maybe put y'all, help Baton Rouge and put the tech park on the map, or help further the exposure that y'all have going on,
Absolutely.
and we're always here to support every program that y'all have in any way and fashion that we can. I mean, I think what y'all have going on with the programs, the resources, and the tools is just top notch, and everybody needs to know about it. I don't think it's a problem of not doing it. I think it's just an exposure, and I think more people need to know.
And that's what it is,
I mean?
the exposure
push
in the right way.
in the right way. Yeah.
We've done it to the same audience too much, but now we're really opening it up and expanding that to allow everybody to see these resources. And I think, you'll see more even next year. Like I said, I think Brew by itself is going to open everybody's eyes, be like, oh, wow, okay, because we'll have an opportunity to showcase each day those key components and resources that we're doing and that we have, and show the results. Because, I mean, we have results that are coming out of this building every day, so I think that's important. We've made that a focal point, and I think that's going to even just grow, moving into next year. So I'm excited. 2023 is going to be good. Look, I'm a New Year's baby, so that makes it even better. I can kick it off and we'll start with a new year, same energy, even more, and just go, and just as long as the results are there, all you can do is just sit back and just enjoy the ride, and that's what it's about. And I feel like me as an entrepreneur, I can continue to think outside the box, and I will, and have the full support of the board, because that also helps the fact that I was actually a board member, that I was the chairman of the board. I think that allows the board to have even more confidence that I can do this. I know what I'm doing, but I'm also giving you the results.
Right.
I'm showing you the action. I'm not just sitting behind a desk, collecting a check, because I don't believe any CEO of an organization is supposed to be sitting behind a desk 5 days a week just signing papers.
No.
If you're a true CEO, you're built to get out and build.
Yes.
And that's what my job and responsibilities and what I've put on myself to do.
Yeah, there's no doubt. You definitely have to, push and get it out there, and that's what you've been doing. And again, I can't commend you enough for the work you've done. And I just want to let you know that we are here to support you 120%, and anything that we can do to help further the tech park in Nexus, Louisiana,
And
our team is going to do. And I know that to be true, and that's why we wanted to have you on and get you out here to talk about Nexus, Louisiana, and the 30-year anniversary and everything that's going on. It's just we want to be a partner, and we want to both win. So
absolutely.
Anything else you would like to say about Nexus or connecting with you or anything?
Yeah, I mean, for anyone that want to connect with me, look, we have an open door. You can come in anytime over here to the tech park. If you want to follow me on my social media, it's Calvin F. Mills Jr. If you want to call, they can call the office, talk to Casey. She'll get you on my schedule. I sit down with people all the time and talk to all entrepreneurs. And I've told them that. I say, listen, come and talk to me. Look, I'm an entrepreneur, pick my brain. I have people call me all the time, even before I was here, just to ask me on, my advice on different things. But, as far as Nexus is concerned, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited for, what we have coming up, the programs that we're working on now, that we're putting together, the programs that we have that we're enhancing. I'm just excited for, where we're going, the things that we've done so far, the success that we've had, with our companies, the exits that we've had. So we have a lot of great things that have happened, honestly, in this 6-month period that I've been here. One that I haven't been a part of, but just been able to push out there, and things that we've done internally that I've been a part of to bring, that new energy and innovation thinking, to the platform. So at the end of the day, you have an entrepreneur running an entrepreneur support organization, and, it is my responsibility and duty to make sure that everyone, can come and get these resources. And we have a lot, even with a new CDFI partner, I've been able to bring a financial component to the organization that really helps to give access to capital for our entrepreneurs the way that they need it. That's important, and we have that. The accelerator program, we have a private equity firm that we're going to partner with that's going to also help to bring even more opportunities for investment. So these are the things that I felt were missing. So I went out and found them and brought those partnerships here to the state.
Well,
so I'm excited about where we're going.
This conversation's been awesome, man. You've definitely gotten me excited about what's going on here at the Tech Park, and I look forward to seeing the success continue to grow, businesses continue to grow, and Baton Rouge and entrepreneurship continue to grow. So I appreciate you taking your time and jumping on here. Really has been an amazing conversation with Calvin Mills with the Nexus Louisiana Tech Park. He's an amazing entrepreneur and an amazing CEO, guys. He has an open door policy. Come in, give him a talk, see what it's all about, see what Nexus is all about, look at their resources, and we'll see you next time here on the Falaya Focus Podcast. Hey guys, I wanted to take a second and say thank you for watching the Falaya Focus Podcast. At Falaya, we are reimagining the way real estate is bought and sold. So we need all the love and support we can get to grow our movement. Please tell all your friends and family about all the great things that we have going on here at Falaya. Please like, share, and subscribe to all of our content, and we'll see you next time on the Falaya Focus Podcast.